Hello, good morning. Welcome in to another episode of Good Morning Nasdaq right here on the Clover Trading YouTube channel. I'm joined by Mr. Kyle Williams. He's right there. His bandwidth
Hello.
is low. That's why he's a little small right there, but he'll get that figured out. Hope you guys had a phenomenal weekend. We're kind of through with that weird week where we got half days, holidays, 3 days. We've had the weekend. I hope you guys have reset. We also have the changing of the month. It is now the second day of December, year of our Lord 2024. Time to finish strong. It's kind of crazy. I always think about time, but a year ago we were together for a Clover meetup right around this time, and can't believe it's been a year. It's a little wild. This is the last month you'll be able to say year of our Lord 2024, so we'll say it every day that we can. And then we'll move on to 2025. As you change to a new month, Kyle, anything you do in particular to get yourself ready to go? I know you're coming off a record month. Is it for you more of just sustain a little bit of that and get yourself out of this year with some big numbers?
I don't have any expectations for December. I view December similar to how I view maybe like the last day of every month or the last week of every month, where a lot of traders might be like they're not having maybe the week or month or year that they want, and so like this is your last chance before it ends. So I would refrain from feeling like December needs to be anything that it won't be. I just take it day by day, see what pops up. If December does offer any opportunities like November did, then yes, it has good chances of being a great month. But if nothing crazy happens and we're due for a little slower period, then what happens. I'm just gonna take it day by day and see what comes in our laps over the next 4 weeks. So.
Yeah, I think it's much easier to be in a situation where you are having the week, month, or year that you want and pulling back a little bit or waiting for the best opportunities versus, which we've all been there, you're not having it and you feel like you need to press or force, or when in reality, once you've traded long enough, that extra 5K, 10K, 50K, 100K really doesn't affect you once we get to January. So I think more about honing in on the habits, I think December's a great time to feel like it's the preseason for next year. All the goals that you did or didn't hit this year, to start thinking about 2025 and what you can accomplish over a 12-month period. This is a great time to get yourself right, to get yourself dialed. And it's also usually a time when the market picks up. So here we are. It is the second day of December. We got a couple gappers that we will talk about this morning. I guess one big gapper and a couple tiny gappers. Also wanted to let you guys know that today is the last day for you to get a discount code going for 3 or 4 leaf Clover. You can use the link I provided in the comment section, which will take you to a page in which you can get either 10, 20, or 30% off 3, 6, or 12-month products over at clovertrade.io. If you've been waiting for your opportunity to get involved, check out our watch list every night, our trade alerts, our video lessons, and our commentary in the room. As well as webinars weekly and all the archived webinars. Now is your chance to get those on a discount. That will run through tonight at midnight. So make sure that if you're interested, you don't forget and you check it out. All right, everybody. As always, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and then you hit that thumbs up button. And we will get after it right now. Biggest gapper of the day is SNTI. Senti Bio, a biotech out of the United States of America in the healthcare sector. Do they have news? Surely they have 3 different PRs. At 7 to 7:10 a.m., they appointed Fran Schultz to the board of directors. They have positive initial clinical data in phase 1, and they announced oversubscribed $37.6 million private placement equity financing. So a lot to tackle here. I don't care about Fran Schultz, unfortunately. Phase 1 for a biotech is quite early in the process, so we've never looked at that as life-changing results or a huge catalyst. Obviously, always going to be market dependent on can it run today, but long term, they are a long ways away from getting whatever drug they want out to the market. What do you make of the $37.6 million private placement equity financing, Kyle?
Interesting. That was one of the PRs today, you said? Oh yeah,
Yeah.
let's see. Let me just quickly skim it. Do they have a price? Give us a little info here. If my PR can load. Yeah, phase one, like you nailed it on the head, that one's too far away to really mean much. 3 million floats, trading like it for sure. 37.6 million private placement. 10 million. Little confusing. I think we've dealt with this in the past where like these private placements are just, they're not as straightforward as you would with like an offering. There is 16,700 Series A convertible preferred stock. Doesn't say how or when.
It says December 5th for the pipe financing, December 27th for the preferred stock. So whatever it is not today.
Yeah, so I unfortunately in short seller can't really rely on this at all to be in my favor. Maybe long term it could be, but right, short term it's even going to take at least a few days to a couple weeks, or a few weeks really, to the end of December for those to kick in. So yeah, not as hopeful as, or not as bearish as you would think. And that's, I mean, kind of the price action's kind of telling us a story of like clearly the stock doesn't care. That's just not, it's not a main factor this morning at this very moment. So
Okay, nothing really I see in the dilution. Pretty uneventful stock until this morning. They have 2.4 months of cash left, and yes, the float, which I didn't mention earlier, 3.63 million. So on the lower side there as well. As we head on over to the daily chart, again, always going back as far as I think is relevant, and just looking for big volume days. What does the stock do when it gets attention, right? Most of these small cap stocks that we're looking at, for the most part, are not really trading every day. They're not like your big cap stocks, like your Teslas, your Nvidias, your SMCIs that are trading some sort of consistent volume every day. There's a market there, there's algos there. These stocks, if I just pull up any random day, 6,000 volume on this day on SNTI. They're just kind of usually fading over the long period. Top left to bottom right is something you hear us say a lot. Top left on the daily chart to where we are now is bottom right on the chart. Not what you want to see, not a bullish indicator. And so looking at where previous spikes topped out is really important. You can see this in July 1st. It had a really big volume day that topped out right here at, where's a high? 610, which is right around where we topped out this morning, the 630s. So that level already showing some importance. You have some resistance up in the 750. It's an $8 area as well. And it's up 174% on the day. So it's strong. Another thing I pick up from these big volume days is that it didn't really lead to big multi-day runs. This stock has a history of having one big volume day, giving back most of it, and then fading off back to where it came from, in this case lower. And so up from $2 right now, up towards $6. What do you make of it, Kyle?
a little awkward of a daily chart as you were going over it, because there's no real good examples of gap and craps. There's the one time back in first day of June or July, really. Yeah, July, which is funny that now the first day of December, or at least trading day of December, we're going again. That did spike a ton. It didn't gap as much, but it also then wicked really wide off its highs. Small run in November last year, but that was a really awkward kind of 3-day sequence that died. And then the biggest run of all, that Dom had up in his chart earlier, in October of 2022. So not a lot of history to go off of here. I don't know. Given the two things I'm thinking of. One is the phase one trial, and we know phase ones don't really mean much. There's 2, 3, and then I think there's another final trial before that. So that really isn't that exciting, and probably doesn't have that much sustaining power to it. However, on the flip side, I think the private placement might, because naturally short sellers will be like, oh, private placement offering, this company's bad. And they don't even try to further think into it or even know that dilution isn't even available today. Or even when it's available. Even Dom and I, who are willing to look into it, can't even really tell. We're not that big of experts in it. I think that could fuel it. into kind of a short squeeze. So I'm a bit 50-50 here of like one catalyst I don't think will keep it up, but another one, if enough short sellers don't care and just take it for face value without doing any digging at all, might catch a few off guard. Is kind of where my brain is at the current moment. So,
Yeah, it is Monday. Last week was kind of a choppy week, I feel like, for gappers, and it's hard to draw any conclusions for anything in terms of big runners for gappers just because we had a weird week, short week. We trade Monday to Wednesday, get a break on Thursday, and then have the half day Friday. So it kind of feels like the start of something new. High School Musical. And it's a fresh month. So kind of looking at what these gappers do, in particular SNTI going forward this week, just because it is by far the biggest gapper of today, everything else under 70%. Lower float, multiple news catalysts, biotech. You never really know. I myself tend to avoid most gappers in general, definitely on the long side. This is not something that I will call a breakout. I have multi-week and multi-month as sometimes I will play for breakouts. Multi-years when I draw the line, especially when it's up almost 200% to get up towards that area. Couple scenarios I could see is it just stuffing into the mid sixes into that resistance and fading off. The volume isn't life-changing right now, about halfway to what we did in July. So, it'd be a different story, I think, if it had already done 100, 200 mil in volume. That would be pretty impressive for this low float. But I could definitely see a world in which this was. I draw a line here at the 610 area and see how we do once the market opens. Really difficult for me to evaluate price action for 5 or 10, 15 minutes on a stock that just hit my radar. So not really bullish. Would expect the stats to play out over time for shorts on these gappers, but I will not be participating in SNTI. But that is SNTI. That's Senti Bio. Your bandwidth never fixed. You're just stuck there. But
I'm just stuck at a small. On my Zoom, it looks good. I look like the same.
Hey,
height.
well, that's awesome, Kyle. It's not. Okay?
Sorry, everybody.
It's fine. It's all right. Over 100 of you watching right now. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Get your comments or questions going in the live stream chat because we're running low on gappers right now. We'd be happy to answer some of your questions. As far as the overall market goes right now in small cap land, it is quite juicy. Last week, and I think a couple people said to me Friday, just felt like everything was like floating up, like the algos took a break and everything just kind of worked. You had like UAVS, KULR, OPTT, that's higher this morning, UMAC. There are a lot of stocks up, a lot of stocks to watch right now. So it should be an eventful week. Us trading all that stuff, you'll be able to see us post our alerts on it in Clover. Like I said, if you're checking in right now and you missed the beginning, use the link in the comment section to get yourself 10, 20, or 30% off 3 and 4 leaf subscriptions. Is there a gapper that interests you enough you want to talk about out of these 60 and 50 percenters? Or do you want to go right into
really.
questions? JCSE,
I'd rather do that. They're all kind of. Say it again. Which ticker?
JCSE, is that an old pump? No, it just looks like a.
It sounds familiar of a scam. Let me just look at the daily chart real quick. I don't really have any.
It's a weird daily chart.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay.
Pat previously in 2022.
Someone asking about
Definitely
shorting
is.
ACHR if it goes red, or is the float market cap too large for a good move? I kind of fought with that exact question going into this morning. Just because there's so much, I feel like it looks like it's straight up. It's like 11-18 till now. Primarily green in the red days or slight green days are just sideways days. I struggle with these because, like I would like consider this a breakout right here over this 790 area on 1127. But a lot of people say, oh, it's so extended. But I would say this consolidation is enough for it to continue higher. And here we are now up, it's gapping up slightly. But when I pull up an intradaily, I just see a ton of areas where it's going to struggle to get through. And if I don't know enough about this, that's why, us shorting pumps, understanding the mechanism of those, knowing that it's going to drop through those support levels. And I don't know about this one. Float is a little bit bigger, price is a little bit higher, the run is a little bit slower and steady. It's not like it's, there's the biggest move right here. And, it's a little over $1 a share. I don't know if you had on your watch list, but what are your thoughts on shorting a red move there?
Wait, you're talking about ACHR, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you said something about a dollar. I'm like, are we talking about dollar stock? I got confused
No,
there.
just a dollar share
Um,
move on the biggest like little spike it had.
oh yeah, down to like eights. Yeah. Um, yeah, this one's a bit. It depends on how picky you want to be. Yes, could this have a red day today? Totally. It is extended enough. It's pretty much gone on a run from 4 to 9 now, with a few small, red candles or small green days in between. So the extension is there, but yeah, this is a more real of a company, right? A $4 billion market cap. This isn't necessarily a small cap any longer. It's more into the mid cap space. For me, I am gonna need one more day out of this. It could have a red day, and if it has a red day, I'll be like, great, I missed it, no big deal. So that's what I'm prepared for. But for me to really want to get involved and feel good about getting involved, I think this needs one more day. Um, just because for the factors that we just talked about. Like, it's extended, but it's not that extended. It's a large cap, so it can be quite choppy. If you look at the intradaily, every day it's got this really, really choppy up and down action, at least for half an hour to an hour a day. Where, like, if you're getting short that, like, are you able to hold through that for an hour and have it go nowhere and question whether this is still gonna have a red day or not? I don't think I'm there yet. I think this needs one more day to really prove to itself, like, okay, this is definitely getting overdone too soon. And then it'll give it that much better odds of being less choppy, or I can at least have more conviction in the choppiness for a red day. But I think that's got to come tomorrow for me. I don't think I can touch this today. So
Awesome. Okay, RGTI question about a breakout. It's gapping over it right now. I just, for some reason, just really don't like this chart all that much. I think this is a bigger float as well. 250 million float right about.
yeah,
It's in the quantum space, I believe, which has been a pretty good sector. But I don't know. There's something about it that really doesn't interest me enough. It's a nice setup. Kind of bounced back Friday into the resistance level. It's now holding it quite nicely in the 330, 340 area. I probably avoid, and I can't tell you exactly why, but I just have not had this on my list, and I'm not prepared for it enough. Decent increase in volume over the past few days. Wasn't this one that gapped up and then did some sort of offering?
this one is playing a playbook very similar to QUBT, like almost exactly. Um, QUBT had its first run, did an offering, held the lows near the offering, and then ramped back to a breakout. And so GRTI did its run from 150s or the mid ones to three almost, so the wick. Then did an offering. The offering is, I think, well below $2, so they didn't even get to the offering price. And then it's just kind of grinded back these last 3 days, and now we're here at the breakout level. So I'm not gonna, similar to Dom, I don't really have any desire for it. However, I wouldn't be surprised to see this actually work and break out. Very similar to how QUBT did, and kind of follow in its tracks a bit. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but so far it's done it pretty well. So we'll have to see. But if it does, again, for those who know my style, like, I'm not one eagerly to buy anything. It's if it can't run enough for me to actually get interested in short, and so we'll see. We'll see what it does here.
Yeah, there was just a lot going on behind the scenes. Like 2 days in a row. One day they completed a $100 million at the market offering. Then the next day they priced a $100 million registered direct offering at the market. And that's just a little confusing for me. Priced at $2, which is a lot lower. Too much thinking there. I think the most part, there's just a lot better charts for me to be paying attention to right now than this one, which is a little bit confusing, a little bit slower moving. This isn't huge range, 170s to 320s. It's nice, but it doesn't really have a history of running like that without the gap. So that's RGTI. A lot of questions on tickers this morning. Someone says, what do you think about PPBT, Gapper?
PPBT.
Dive into it for a quick second. 1.3 million float. No news is positive results from phase 2. So a step above SNTI's news. They're low on
What's
cash.
the ticker? I'm getting it wrong.
PPBT. Paraglider, balsamic turtle.
Oh, there we go.
I don't have any
just,
thoughts.
I don't know. Another. Yeah, another gapper of the sea of them today that are in the low to mid range of how much someone can gap. Um, Nothing special to me. Got to narrow it down somehow, and I see something like this. There's just nothing that calls my name. So
All right, we'll take an OPTT question and get on out of here. 222 or Kyle, you interested OPTT again for first red day earnings announcement after the close. Nice, the biggest gap
yeah,
so far
earnings
of
after the
this
close.
run, 40%.
Yeah, earnings after the close, so definitely won't be swinging or holding it through earnings. However, I if I was a gambling man, I have a hard time thinking that earnings are any good. And so it likely repeats what it's done every time it runs, which is slowly fade back down. But again, it's not worth the risk because there is a world where it gaps up on earnings. That has happened before. So I'm not going to risk that. But in terms of today, yeah, if it's going to have some trouble holding this gap. We'll see if it does or not, but it wouldn't shock me. I don't know if a red day is coming, but certainly I think the odds are in the favor of it not holding 70s and closing somewhere maybe in the 60s. Let's put it that way. It's usually pretty difficult for a gap this large to hold into a run this extended. So we'll find out. We'll see.
Yeah, just thinking like a trader in terms of news and earnings. Unpredictable. You'll never know exactly what a stock's going to do into it or after it in after hours. I don't know what time they're reporting the earnings at, but when a stock's up from 15 cents to 80 cents into that news, very difficult for it to hold that up, regardless of what the actual news is. If it's good, if it's perceived as good, you're still probably going to see a lot of people selling. It's, the sell news event happens on good news. It happens. You saw it with DJT. You saw it with GME earlier in the year. Like, it doesn't mean the news was bad. It just means we ran so hard into the news that it's almost impossible to continue holding at those levels. Really interesting one for me. Really trying to focus on first red days and not overextended gap ups, just because I think those are, you can start to play a fire a little bit, get yourself in a position where it might not do anything. 70 might be the lowest it goes all day, but you're shorting. You lose on it, and now you got this big, what's the opposite of a cushion? You got a bag of losses, and you're going into the real first red day
deficit.
and it's kind of just frustrating. You're emotional on the ticker. I think there's a play there, but it doesn't need to be today. And we're up 20 cents past previous close, which is right around 50 cents. So I will usually let these trade out a bit and then see if it looks super weak. And usually I know Kyle too, probably you're looking for a move if you do short something like this on a big gap up, a move towards previous close, not necessarily all out collapse like you might for a 20 or 30% drop like on a first red day. But even that's probably right around a 20% drop right near previous close. But nice runner. That's what I'm saying. We got a lot of good runners right now. Multi-day runners, something we haven't seen a lot. So I think it's really important right now to prioritize your watch list and focus on the best of the best every single morning, because a lot of these, I think, entries need to be quite soon. Some you need to be patient with. Others, like some long ideas I have, can be nurtured a bit. But as we head into winter, it's generally when we start to pick up in the overall small cap land. So being prepared for that and just trying to make sure that I am on top of the right things at the right time. Any final comments, concerns, words of wisdom for the people out there, Kyle?
Nope. I'd leave them with the same thing I said earlier, which is, don't feel pressure from the last month of the year to do anything different than what you normally do. Another day. It's the same week as last week, same day as yesterday, same month as last month, right? It's just a continuous motion of time. Let the opportunities come to you. Don't chase after them, and stick to your process and continue to improve your process. And yeah, that's the secret there. That's the little secret recipe.
That's the secret sauce. All right, everybody, make sure you check out those discount codes at clovertrading.io. We just need one more like also to get to 50. And that'd be appreciated on your way out. Yeah, that's about it. Let's have an amazing December. We'll be here to spend that time with you every single morning the market is open. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so you never miss an episode. Huddie should be back tomorrow. And I hope you guys have a great start to the new month and close out the year strong and have just a phenomenal day. So we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8:45 a.m. for another episode of Good Morning Nasdaq. And we'll see all you Clovers in the